Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday, y'all. And welcome to Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. I'm Nicole Roberts Jones, your Bankroll Your Brilliance expert. Always excited to pour into you every Thursday at 12 p.m. EST. And this is where I join you live. Those of you that watch the replay, I'm welcoming you as well. But my goal is to give you actionable insight in three areas. One, what is your brilliance? The one thing God has created you to do in this world. The second is the value tied to it. And the third is how do you create multiple streams of income from it? My ultimate goal in these segments is to give you everything you need to start or grow your purpose focused business. So, as you're coming in for this special four-part series where I'm going to get to pour into you, I want you to come in, say hello, tell me name and where you're joining from. If I say something and you have a question, ask a question. I'm looking at my comments. If you see me looking to the side, that means I'm looking at my comments. And also, I want you to, if I step on your toes, put some fire in the chat. If I say something that's good and it resonates with you, give me some hearts. Let me know that I am resonating with you. Hey, Mo, in you're seeking information on holistic healing. Right. So I'm not the person for holistic healing. I'm going to teach you how to create a business. So with that said, let me say this, the thing I love about the Black Doctor platform is that Black Doctor is committed to you learning everything you need so that you have a holistic life. So health is more than just your physical health. It's your mental health, your spiritual health. It's health in your finances. And so I am blessed to be able to talk about health in your finances. So excited to be here to pour into you. So with that said, I'm starting a four-part conversation today, and it's called Leverage to Grow. So, in the next 4 weeks, what I'm going to do is walk you through the four areas you've got to leverage. Now, this is going to be for you whether you're just starting your business or you've been in business for years. And so, by the way, those of you that join me, you have to know when I'm teaching, I'm talking about a service based business. So, whether you're a coach, you're an accountant, you're an attorney, you are a health a consultant, a health trainer is what I was trying to say, image consultant, a real estate agent, all of you that use your intellectual property to move someone's life or business forward, this insight is for you. Now, listen, if you have a product based business, yeah, I can't really help you with your products because all you can do is sell your product. See, but what you have to realize is when you created your product, there is intellectual property present. What do I mean by that? So I have a client who created a lipstick applicator line. And of course, she thought I couldn't help her. And I said, well, how many people call you to pick your brain? And she said, ooh, a lot. Okay, about what? She said, how to manufacture their products. Hello. So yeah, we started a whole manufacturing series of programs because it wasn't just one thing they need multiple. So that's what I mean by service-based business, all right? So, before I start to dig into our conversation for this first week, for those of you that are meeting me for the first time here on Black Doctor, hey, Renata, one of my clients, hey, girl, in Brooklyn, lunchtime check-in, I know that's right. Hey, Lou Esther, tell us where you are in the world. So, let me tell you a little bit about who I am, and then I'm going to pour into you. And I'm always here for 30 minutes. I have 5 steps for you today, so grab your pen. So, I've been doing this for 28 years. This is my 28th year of being in this work. So, I started this in 1993, and by 17 years into my journey of starting a business, by 2010, my business looked really, really successful. So back then, I had a for-profit and a nonprofit division in my business. So my nonprofit, working with African American teenage girls, it was faith-based. And I had chapters in churches, in 10 churches to be exact, in cities throughout the country. And we were growing by leaps and bounds. In my for-profit, coaching highly skilled professionals like many of you, I had a maxed out coaching client roster, meaning I couldn't take another client. So in 2010, I wrote my first book. And I wrote that book because I thought at least I could give the principles to the clients I couldn't coach, the women, because at that time I was only serving women. So men, I do serve men now too. So I can at least give the principles to women that I couldn't take as a client. And that book could be a fundraiser for my nonprofit. Well, when that book came out, I started getting invitations to speak all over the country. So listen, again, this was 2010, y'all. I could see all of what I wanted in my business. It was happening. It was, I was doing it. I was coaching, I was speaking, I was writing books. I loved every minute of it. But I want you to get this. I was only generating $13,000 a year in my business. So pretty much I had a big fat community service with no check. That's how I felt. And I didn't start my business to be struggling to do it. So you guys know I still had a daytime job. And by the way, I remember this moment like it was yesterday. It was my epiphany moment. It was November 7th, 2010. It was a Sunday night. I just got home from another speaking weekend. And I'm sitting on my couch, tired, exhausted. By the way, my daytime job, I was an adjunct professor at Boston University. My class was at 8 a.m. the next morning, right? Listen, I forgot to close my emails, y'all. I'm easily distracted, so I'm doing that while I'm talking to you. Listen, my class was the next morning. I hadn't written out a syllabus. I mean, no, the syllabus was written. I hadn't written out lecture notes. I hadn't read the books I told my students to read. And I sat on my couch exhausted, thinking to myself, I can't do this anymore. But at the same time, as I was feeling that, I felt in conflict because I knew this was a thing I was born to do. But this little $13,000, yeah, that wasn't cutting it. So I prayed, Lord, if this is really you, you better show me something. And I'm pretty sassy. God knows that. So that's exactly how I prayed. So literally in the next coming days, what God began to show me, and he led my path to me to coach. That coach cost $30,000. I couldn't afford it. I told you I made 13,000, but I couldn't afford not to hire her. So knees knocking the teeth chattering. I pulled out my credit card, praying to God that the deposit would go through. Because listen, I didn't have a savings account. Well, I did, but it probably was like maybe $50 in it. I didn't have some huge money I inherited. And so I realized I had to risk it all to gain it all. And literally, what my coach began to show me was the 4 steps I'm going to walk you through in this series. And ultimately, that led me within 6 months, going from 13,000 in my business to over 200,000. And I've been growing by leaps and bounds. So I need you to understand you need all 4 parts, not one, in order to have a profitable business. And I'll tell you along the way where I fell short. I'm transparent. And let me tell you why. Because for many of you, the reason why your business hasn't grown and you haven't started it yet is because maybe you don't know who to ask or where to go to. That was me. Or maybe you have your egos in the way. That was me too. Here I was with a master's degree at the time, teaching listen, not at one prestigious university. I also taught at USC for almost 5 years. And I was thinking I should know how to do this, yet I didn't. And I kept failing year after year after year because my ego was in the way. And so whatever that is for you, whatever place you're in, and for some of you guys, that might be title, that might be perception of what other people think of you. I'm here for you to give you living, breathing permission to go after your next level. I'm never here for who you already are. Your bio, your resume is complete. That version of you is done. See, I kept relying on my bio, my resume, but that wasn't helping me. See, when God is calling you to something new, he's calling you to the expansion of you. You guys, many of you have heard of the prayer Jabez. So if God is going to expand your territory, you got to expand you first. And so there's areas that you don't even realize. And listen, I didn't know that I didn't know that I needed to get clear on in order to leverage everything I already was to grow. And that's exactly what my coach taught me. All right. So with that said, I'm going to walk you through the 4 areas. Today, our conversation is the key to leverage your brilliance. That's the first thing you got to know is how to leverage your brilliance. Now, listen, this is the area that so many people overlook. So I need you to get that this is not something that's simple and easy. Many of you, if you're not making predictable revenue in your business, it's because this is not clear. Your brilliance. And I'm going to tell you, your brilliance is the foundation your business sits on. So what do I mean by brilliance? So you guys, if you follow me week after week, if this is your first week, say, hey, Nicole, this is my first week. I see more people joining me. So as my grandmother would say, don't come in this house and not speak. So at least tell me hello and where you are in the world as you're coming in. Even if you're watching the replay, I still want you to tell me hello. So listen, I call it brilliance because for me, it's all about letting my light shine. It's about letting the purpose in me shine. So this is based on Matthew 5:16 that says, and I quote, let your light so shine among men and women, I added and women, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. You need to understand that God gifted you with something so special at birth. That's called your DNA, your distinct natural ability. And it's that DNA that God put you here on assignment. That's what I mean by brilliance. So you get clear on it and you start to really thrive in it. You start to shine. And dare I say, bling, bling. Matter of fact, I want you to shine so bright that if somebody can't stand it, you just need to hand them a pair of shades. See, I'm not here for average or ordinary. Matter of fact, I'm allergic to average. I'm here for your abundantly above all. That's Ephesians 3:20, right? Hey, Patricia, welcome to your first week. Hey, Della in Georgia, and Deed in Arkansas, and Sherwood. Is that Sherwood Forest? You know, I'm simple, y'all, right? Welcome, welcome. So let me make sure you understand that there is something that is so phenomenal inside of you. And the minute that you get clear on this, now listen, this is for you. Even if you're not starting a business, the thing you do at work is also your divine assignment because you're a part of a business that was created as an answer, period. All right. So there's 5 things you've got to do in order to leverage your brilliance. Now, listen, some people will call this a niche. So I looked up the definition of niche because I think niche is so overused, but I don't know that we all understand what does niche mean. And by the way, you can see me look down because I have an outline. There's nothing but an outline here because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. All right. So niche means a specialized segment of the population for a particular kind of product. So it's really taking your gift and specializing. So if I say I'm a business coach, that's not a niche. But I'm a bankroll your Brilliance coach. I teach you how to create multiple streams of income from what you know. Yeah, that's a niche. Now, my client Renata, that's here. Because say she's a real estate agent. She teaches people how to build wealth from real estate. Do you see the difference? I have another client that coaches women over 40, really over 50, a health coach. And she used to walk around and say she was a health coach. She shifted that and now she says, I help women get their sexy back. Do you see the difference? So you've got to understand that number one, you got to get clear on what is your purpose. What is it? What's the thing that you are so phenomenal at? And the 2 areas that correlate for this to exist is what do you love and what are you really, really good at? You can't love it and not be good at it. And you can't be good at it and not love it. Because who wants to work a job that you hate all day long? That doesn't feel like God because it's not. And just because you love something doesn't mean you're good at it. So if I use myself for an example, when in 1993 I had this stirring in my soul, knowing that God was calling me out to do something different, and I worked in entertainment at the time. It's another story. I'll tell you that story another time, right? Can I tell you the first thing I tried to do before I really sat with God and really sat in quiet contemplation to get clear? And by the way, when I'm teaching you anything, I'm someone that has lived it. I'm not someone that just read a book about it. I lived it, I breathed it, I learned it from me, and then God said, teach it. So that's what I do now. So I'm a living, breathing example of what it looks like to leverage to grow. So the very first thing I did, I said, well, shoot, I love to shop. Maybe I'm meant to be in the fashion industry. So I went back to school. Now, mind you, I already had a bachelor's degree. And I said, okay, I'm going to go back to school and learn fashion. And I sat in my first class. Let me tell y'all how much I did not care about fashion. I didn't care about thread count. I didn't care about, I realized, can I keep it real? I didn't care about any other fashion or anybody else but me. Because then when they started telling me the color analysis for people, I was like, why? And I realized that ultimately shopping is what I love to do for me, but I didn't think I would love it for other people. So I need you to understand those 2 areas must correlate because that's the way you are wired. So if you're not clear, spend some time with yourself and pay attention to what comes up for you throughout the day. Okay. And then once you get clear on where those 2 areas correlate, the next thing is what problem does that solve? Because it's not about you. God did not put you here to serve yourself. You know, those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that one of the conversations I have with you is why God wants you to profit. The word profit means gain. We'll get into this more in the 3rd week, but I want you to understand your purpose was meant to gain for this world. God put you down here, and there are a group of people that are looking for you. This is why it's so important for you to specialize and really get clear on the niche your purpose serves in. Because the more clearly you can be who you are, not some second rate version of somebody else. As my super friend Delatora said once, if two of us are the exact same thing, one of us isn't necessary. God didn't use a cookie cutter when He created you, so He didn't expect you to be like anybody else but you. But you got to be clear and sit with who you be and how you be it. And I meant to say who you be. And then you got to know who needs you. And again, any place that you are having a hard time with these answers, and if they're, let me say it like this. If you're saying stock things like, I help people maximize their potential, yeah, that is not your purpose. You're cutting the surface of what it is. Because ultimately, you've got to know what differentiates you. So, me saying maximize your potential, first of all, what does maximize mean, really? What does maximizing potential really mean? Isn't that vague? So, when you say things that do not speak to a predictable result, which is number 4, no one's buying that. So, I want you to think about anytime you purchase anything, you purchase it because you want a predictable result, like my health trainer, who said, and I quote, now mind you, she's not the first health trainer I've hired. I've hired so many. And some of you, this has happened to you too, where you've hired so many coaches and nothing has worked. And I'm in perimenopause. I'm going to keep it all the way real. And baby, I like to eat. I'm not somebody that eats cute. I eat. I eat a rib. I eat, you name it, except for chitlins. I eat it. Okay. And so she said, I help busy moms eat what they want and lose weight. Done, hired. Now, mind you, I'm not a mom. I'm a phenomenal bonus mom. I'm a great auntie, godmom, but I don't have any children I birthed on my own. But her being able to articulate the result of eating what I wanted was what I needed. And I think so many people get shy away from understanding the problem they're the answer to and the people they're called to do it for. Now, she was called to moms, but I still heard what I needed in her. Why? Because she was laser focused. The other problem I hear people have is they think they're leaving people out. Well, if I say all women, then people will come. No. Why? Because a confused mind does not buy. Meaning, if I'm confused about what you do, I'm going to look for what I need someplace else. And when I don't know you, I have no vested interest in trying to figure out if you can help me. I'm going to go look somewhere else. This is why you understanding how to leverage your brilliance is so important. So let me review what I've already said, because I've already said a lot. I have a 5th step. Number 1 is getting clear on your purpose. Listen, you're not everybody's answer. You're somebody's answer. But what are you the answer to? So 1 is getting clear on what is that thing. Number 2 is understanding the answer. It's the need to. It's actually the people and the problem is kind of number 2. It's who's your target market, who's your ideal client. You're not everybody's answer, y'all. And then what answer do you fulfill for them? Answer, need, problem, desire, whatever that is for your group of people. Y'all with me? Y'all taking notes? Going fast. Number 3 is know what differentiates you. So when I look at my own self, see, there's things that are intrinsic to your DNA, right? So one of the things that's intrinsic to my DNA is that I'm kind of funny, right? Now, sometimes I could be corny, but that's who I am. So when you're around me, you're going to have fun, right? I'm one part Jesus's girl. I'm clear that I'm on assignment. So whereas other people that are helping you start or grow your businesses and helping you really understand how to package your brands to make profit, many people do not add God in it. That differentiates me. The other thing that differentiates me is that I have the nerve to be a little ratchet, a whole lot of Jesus and a little bit of ratchet. I said it. I am. Now, I don't talk ratchet, but I love me some ratchet music. By the time I figure out what they're saying, I'm like, half the time. My husband laughs at me. I feel like my mother now because I really don't know what they're saying half the time, but I love it. And then when my husband explains it, I'm like, what? Like, how many of y'all know what WAP means? Don't write it in the comments. I don't want to know. When my husband told me what WAP means by Carly B, I was like, oh my. No judgment, but I had no idea. Right? So I keep it real. So I don't have to mask any part of me. I'm also from South Central LA. So, one of my girlfriends calls me bougetto because I'm a little bougie, a little ghetto, and you get that blend. And I have no problem with it. But can I tell you, there was a time where I didn't feel comfortable being myself, when I felt judged, when I felt like people were looking at me, when I felt like perception was daring me not to be the girl from South Central LA. But guess what? It wasn't any of that. It was me. So when I started realizing that that is a part of who I be and that's what makes me who I am, all those pieces can blend together to be the phenomenal, brilliant woman that I was born to be. Just like there's brilliance inside of you. There's a Bible verse, Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good. Not a couple things, not a few things, but even the things that may have hurt you in your past. Oh, God will use that for your good if you let Him. All of that is a part of you leveraging your brilliance. See, when I think about the fact that me being from South Central LA, that, I should be robbing Peter to pay Paul. How many of you guys' parents said this? Robbing Peter to pay Paul, or we don't have that, whether money doesn't grow on trees, or all the sayings around money that also had me in a broke down bankroll zip code, is what I call it. But and now I'm a CEO of a multiple six figure working in my $1 million a year business. How's that possible? It's taking the time to grow, leverage so you can grow. So once you get to know who you are, it's about growing who you are. So I've created something special to help you grow. I'm going to come back and tell you your fifth step. But I want to invite you to something special I'm doing next week. That's free. So I'm going to play this commercial and then I'll come back and we will walk through our final step for part one. God has given each of us free will. And so what that means when it comes to the work you do in this world is you have the power to choose to do anything you want to do. But if you desire work that gives your life meaning and fulfillment, then can I tell you the one thing I've seen so many successful women overlook? Now, in the over 25 plus years that I've been in this work, you overlook, or should I say, dare I say, you lack deep understanding of your DNA. Now, when I say DNA, I mean your distinct natural ability, which is the exact way God created you. And with this understanding, choosing work that puts you in a lane that is all your own. With all of that in mind, let me ask you, are you ready to start or grow your business? To get in alignment with your God-given assignment, to learn all the ways it's meant to bring profit to you and ultimately to God and for God. Then join me for the Rich in Your Niche Summit by going to richinyournichesummit.com. And then starting on August 1st, join me for our free 5-day Purpose Plus Profit online summit with 18 powerful entrepreneurs plus me who are ready to pour into you about what it took for them to go after becoming the highest and best version of who God created them to be, who are all coming together to give you insight, to share with you all the action steps it took for them to show up powerfully and share with you the insider secrets to how they move their purpose into a revenue generating business so that you can go after starting or growing your own. Join us and learn more by going to richinyournichesummit.com. Now, the reason I created the Rich in Your Niche Summit is because I wanted you to have more than just the strategy. I think so many of us, this was me included, growing up in South Central LA, I never saw anyone that looked like me that had a successful, lucrative business. This is more than a career. I'm talking about having your own business. And that's why I've assembled a group of African American business owners to shine a light for you, to show you what's possible when you leverage your brilliance. Oh, they're going to share so much with you. So it starts on Monday. Grab your seat again in case you missed it. Let me put it up again. It's the richinyournichesummit.com. All you've got to do is opt in and then show up 8 p.m. EST Monday through Friday. Oh, and if one of those days you're going to miss, the replays will be available to you until the following Sunday, August 7th. All right. So with that, let me quickly review where we've been in this stage, step one, because there's 4 steps, y'all, 4 areas you've got to leverage to grow. The first is you got to leverage your brilliance. Okay. So number 1, do you know what your purpose is? And I often call this dominating in your lane. You've got to know that God only requires you to dominate in one arena. And as I say that, it makes me think of Olympic sprinter Gwen Torrence. Now, Gwen was known in 1995 as the fastest woman alive. So she ran this Olympic track meet in 95 and she won. So if you've ever watched an Olympic track meet, you know that after they run, they are like waving and well, first of all, they catch their breath. But after they catch their breath, they do a lap and they're waving at people and people throwing flowers at them and they stop and get interviewed. And while all of that is happening, the judges are watching the replay. And as they watch the replay, they find a discrepancy. See, apparently, Gwen won running in somebody else's lane, which in track and field gets you disqualified. Well, when you die and get to meet God face to face, I don't want him to say to me, girl, what happened? So that's why it's so important for you to understand the lane God created your brilliance to dwell in. Now, I can break that all the way down by walking through a whole lesson in the Bible, but I'm not. Just in lieu of time because we have 4 minutes left. So one, you got to get clear on what your purpose is. Two, you got to understand the problem it solves and the people you are here to serve. You're not everybody's answer. You are somebody's answer. And you've got to be able to understand number three, how it differentiates you. Because there are other people that do what you do, but nobody does it like you. And you got to understand when you do that thing you do, there are people that go, oh, I like her or something about her. That's because I'm assigned to you. Those of you that feel like that means that I'm assigned to you. And the same way you might feel like that about me, then your ideal client will feel like that about you when you get clear and dominate in your own lane. The fourth is you've got to be able to articulate the predictable results that your brilliance gets your ideal client to. So you can't just say, I'm going to help you maximize your potential. Yeah, that's vague. That's what I used to say, by the way, when I was making money. Now I'm clear. I help you create multiple streams of income from what you already know, from your God given purpose. Big difference. And then finally, number five, you've got to master it. So, what do I mean by master it? I always love to use Beyonce as an example. So years ago, I was watching her, and I would say hating on her a little bit, but I was having a full-on jealous moment because y'all need to know if I could sing, she would have. Listen, I would have been Beyonce first because baby, I can dance. Anyway, let me stop. So I was having a full-on jealous moment, and while I was watching her, what dropped in my spirit is, "You have fierce too." I'm like, this ain't you, Lord, talking to me while I'm watching Beyonce, is it? But here's what I began to realize. It's like this started flooding in my mind in that moment. Do you guys remember when she created Sasha Fierce? Now listen, she created Sasha Fierce at an opportunity that God was calling her to grow her gift. As my Pastor Petrie says, we live life on levels and grow on stages. God doesn't expect you to end where you started. He's always going to have another arena or not another arena, another way for you to grow your gift. That's that expansion of your territory, that prayer Jabez that we all prayed years ago. And so for Beyonce, that expansion was calling her to go solo. Now, if you followed her career, you know that she started at 9, or at least we hear. I haven't been able to ask her yet. One day I will be able to ask her. She started at 9, practicing every day in her backyard, every single solitary day after school, every single solitary day in the summer. What were you doing after school? And what were you doing in the summer? I wasn't practicing to grow a career, that's for sure. I was busy climbing a tree or riding a bike, but I was not honing in on my gift. So from 9 to 19, they practice every day. Do you know she doesn't get a record deal until they're 19 years old? 10 years of doing that. She was even on Star Search when she was little. Some of y'all don't, I think the group was called Girls Time when they were on Star Search and they lost. She didn't give up. They get a record deal when she's 19 and then 2 of the members of Destiny's Child leave. Y'all remember this? Are y'all with me? Somebody say something. Say, yes, Nicole, I'm with you. I hear you. I remember. So after those 2 leave, they find 2 more. Even in the midst of rumor and innuendo, all these Entertainment Tonight and all the tabloids are reporting about these 2 members of Destiny Child leaving. She did not quit. Matter of fact, she wrote the song "I'm a Survivor." Go read the lyrics to "I'm a Survivor." I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna stop. I will work harder. Okay. In the midst of all of that is when that song came out. Y'all go read the lyrics. So then 2 more coming and 1 of them leave. So now the 3 are doing great. They're writing hits. They're topping the charts. And then Miss Beyonce gets this inkling in this next level inside of herself. Now, listen, all that time she's been on stage with two, sometimes three other women. And in order for her to go solo, she has to stand on stage by herself, which she was scared to do, which is why she conjured up Sasha Fierce so she could do the thing she knew God was calling her to do to expand her gift and do it afraid. So you got to master your gift, meaning it's always about you continuing to grow. You don't stay in one place and stay stagnant. It's looking at how do you continue to grow to your next level. That's what leveraging your brilliance is all about. Because the more you grow, the more people you can serve. The more you gain, the more profit you gain as you grow, the more people you can serve. And we're going to dig more and more into this series. But as we end this first conversation, I want to ask you, where in those 5 areas are you not clear on or you need support? One is, are you clear about what your purpose is? Number 2, are you clear about the people and the problem that you're the answer to? Number 3, do you know what differentiates you from everybody else that does what you do in your marketplace? Number 4, can you articulate the predictable result? And empowerment and inspiration is not a predictable result. You can get that for free at church on Sunday. And then number 5, you commit to master it. Again, I want to make sure you are join me. Those of you that know you need support, you want to hear how other people have done all 5 of those things. I've assembled 18 power players to pour into you, and I'm one of those 18. richinyournichesummit.com starting on Monday. And so, with that said, that's it for this episode. Can you do me one favor? I'm going to ask you this every time I'm with you. I want to know the one thing of value you got out of this episode. I want to know the one thing you're going to walk away from here. And by the way, if you don't leverage this, your brilliance, everything I teach you after this won't work. Many of you, the reason, if you already started your business, and I see this countless time after time after time, the reason your business isn't making profit is because you haven't gotten clear in one of these 5 areas in regards to your brilliance. So take the time, get clear. You're right, Della. Della said, never give up. You're right. Never give up. That's the one thing you got out of today. Is that why you wrote that? And you're right, because it's going to take consistency in the arena God created you to dwell in. If you're going to grow it, if you're going to be fruitful, listen, you don't plant a seed and it just grows because you planted it. Okay, bye. I'll come back in the day. I'll come back tomorrow and I'll have an apple tree. No, you got to water it and water it and water it and pull up weeds and fertilize it. And sometimes you got to prune it. You got to do the work. And so each of these 4 areas are the areas you've got to cultivate, to grow, so that you can become the highest and best version of who God created you to be, and so that you can gain for God. See, when you make revenue, when you make profit, the word profit means gain. And ultimately, it's all about you gaining for you, because God's going to give you a gift back for how hard you work, but you're also going to gain for the kingdom. All right. So with that said, that's it for part 1. I got 3 more parts to walk you through. So I'll see you, many of you, next week, Rich in Your Niche Summit. I'll see you during that. And then I'll be back here next Thursday for part 2. All right. So have a phenomenal rest of your day. Again, continue to share value. And I'll see you next Thursday for another episode of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. Bye, y'all.